have a lot of time. They do, yes.
So, sorry, what do you mean you lost?
Okay. We are part of a Gaikoku Gakubu. We have 9 departments. English department is just one. It's the largest one. But the whole curriculum has to be the same. So when the 8 other departments, which are smaller languages, decide they want this, that's that. So the number of weekly classes we have in English every week has been cut down over the years, as the other departments realise their graduates don't have enough time to do just their language. They need to do other things to get employed in jobs and so on. So we've been losing classes. Okay, that's what it means, sorry. As I said, most teachers are part-time, so we didn't want to ask too much. There's little or no support from the traditionally minded teachers. There were 3 and now Sandy 4 of us, but we're also heavily involved in other things. Tom runs the entire language program. I'm Kyomu. Another person is president of the board, chairman of the board of an international school. There's all sorts of messy things. We also felt like we would like to eat lunch at lunchtime. I know that's unreasonable. Part-time teachers could not really access the software, so we needed a program that ran itself, well, not quite, was independent of class time, lunchtime, was easy to explain, easy to access and user-friendly, and could take into account student level. And that's where Tom's Moodle came in. That's why we put it together. Okay. And then there were more. International Relations Department started 2 years ago. They said, oh my goodness, we don't have anyone who's a language thing. Can you do it for us? All our issue come up with it for us. I said, oh, all right. That helped us do a few things, but then we have 400 students. First year, April 2008, it's part of a twice-a-week integrated skills course. And second year, yes, we changed it. We have a reading-writing class. It's part of the reading-writing class. And then Tom said, well, that seemed to work. Let's make it general education. Close to 3,000 students total. And then I began to understand what my colleagues had felt like. So we then said, okay, first thing, what do we need? What do we need? And that is books. We need books. Okay? So we met with the library management, who were not looking very happy about life. And we said, we have 3,000 students, 600 are going to need more books. The library management was very negative, and then they started doing the figures. And they came out with figures like this. There'll be 40,000 books borrowed a year. 15 weeks of semester, that comes down to 266 books borrowed a day. And suddenly they were smiling. It was a win-win situation. We had to get the books fast, we didn't know how. But when we told them that, we got what we wanted. Sort of. The section of the reserve section suddenly became a lot bigger. We were suddenly allowed to put things by level, which was very revolutionary, and have our own notices and so on around the library. And we were allowed to order books. And I'm not talking about small numbers. I think this year we have ordered more than 2,000 books. And there doesn't seem to be an end to the budget we're allowed to use. Our problem now is getting enough time to make the tests. Okay. Here is some data from the library, my one bit of data. 2008, in April, the number of people who went to the library was 35,000. This year it's 42,000. The number of first-year students borrowing reserve books last year was 409 during April. This year it's 4,097. You see why the library's happy. From May, it got even better. This is 1,500 last year. That's when our program was going. And now with the centre, it's 6,224. So suddenly, we can do anything we want. Okay. However, there were problems that we didn't have enough books. The books weren't coming in fast enough. There were lines of students waiting for that day's returns to come to run in and grab it to go to the next thing. That caused problems, but the library didn't care. And they still threw more money at us. So, that's one thing. And how about the support from our own department admin? All these wonderful things are happening. Nothing. Still. Oh, go back to the neck. Yeah. So, that's all right. So by using our positions in the university, we created a large ERR program without the years of preparation and meetings and little blah, 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 blah. Just by using Tom's program and imposing it, and then making the university go, oh, okay. So this is the opposite to what all of the extensive reading stuff tells you to do. You're supposed to have at least 4 books for each student, and we didn't do that. We did the other way around. But it solved a lot of the problems of our previous program with Accelerated Reader. To help the teachers in the Ipankyoiko, the center teachers who are teaching these thousands of students, they were given a set text, I don't mean textbook, I mean written words, to put into their Kogyoko, the syllabus, about the extensive reading component. They were given a handout to give out to all students explaining the program in Japanese, what they had to do, where they had to go. They were further briefed at a meeting party type thing in May. And it's still early days, but in general the feedback has been very positive. The teachers like it, they say it's great. Anything that gets them reading English. The idea of extensive reading is very widely appreciated amongst the teachers. There are teething problems, there have been teething problems, but in general it's very positive, the teachers I've talked to. As I said, the books came in slowly, but the other thing that happened was in Abe we had a whole lot of new teachers in the English and International Relations department, so our teams disappeared. They weren't so strong anymore, and that's something we're going to have to work on. All right, 5 minutes. From the teacher's point of view, as I said, most teachers express support for the ER. They believe it's effective, and they believe it's an important part of any language program. This comes from a survey. They also many seem to believe that going to the Moodle is a very positive step. They can see it. They can go home. They can see what their students doing. They like it. They also believe writing summaries is not demotivating. That's my throw-in for ER. And teachers boast of students' progress and commiserate over lack of progress. Okay, so the teachers think it's okay. There are problems, I said, but they think it's okay. The students' point of view. Well, we only have 124 students, or 150 students, who actually have done it for 2 years. So how do they feel about it? Has it damaged their reading at all? I think this one student, what she said, summarizes quite well overall, the thinking. I think reading English books is really good for us, but we don't have much time and many students don't like to read a book. Okay, which, you know, I think most of you go, yeah, all right, that sounds reasonable. Otherwise, I said, how much do you enjoy reading English? And the most common answer was 52%, a bit. Like, ooh. So we then quickly did in a smaller group about Japanese, and that was the most common answer as well, a bit. So they like it about the same. They describe themselves as slightly below average readers of English, 1 to 10, but it's not so different to Japanese. I haven't done a full statistical analysis of this because the results only came in on Friday. Many of them read English once or twice a week, 57%. 20% do it every day or almost every day. If you look at it Japanese, 14% do it every day and 28% once or twice a week. So we could say they're probably reading more English than they are Japanese. Okay? Do you think you read English enough? No, but I would like to read more is the most common answer, 51%. Japanese was 75%. So, yes, we're pushing them. And yes, some of the students say, oh, I can't do all this reading, but they're not reading enough and they'd like to read more, seems to be the general response from students. Are they communicating about it? Yeah, many, 56% say they talked about extensive reading once or twice a week to their friends. 52% agree that reading English is interesting. Only 11% disagree. Yeah? And there are the types of things they're doing in English outside of class. Song lyrics, email, text messages, websites. That's not particularly surprising. What are we doing now? Well, we're getting the students involved. We're trying to. We want to get new books into the program, so some of us have started giving out books we don't have tests for and getting students to review them, put them in levels, write whether they think it's a good book or not and why. We're going to be starting to adding those books over the summer. We're getting more teachers more involved. Tom has got some of the centre contract teachers checking the tests. We're trying to get teachers' opinions, and we do move a lot on teachers' opinions after our meetings. Raising administration awareness. Tom has put it as part of a GP approval to Monkasho, and certainly a lot of the administration now know about it. And we want to, it's not just supposed to be 2 years and then finished. We want to give it a future, a continuity. So, in the library we have a challenge section where we put in English manga, English children's books, Harry Potter, a whole range of things, recent stuff. So students who maybe in 3rd or 4th year or even challenge themselves 1st and 2nd year, there's no test, but they can go read something higher level, build themselves up. Okay? We're trying to link it to content courses. I've tried to encourage people to bring it into their content courses so students can read a book and use that. All right? Part of lecture course essays, I have a large lecture course. One of the choices is to read the reader and write about what it tells you about my course about Australia. That was actually the most popular choice amongst the students, 2nd, 3rd and 4th years. And also, for example, my semi-classes are about children's literature, fantasy, science fiction. We're trying to make something for students to go with, build up into the future. Okay, almost finished. What we're also going to do, the LL currently is closed. I'm on the Inkai for this as well. I'm the person who proposed that we open it up. So it's going to be like style, where students can walk in, pull the things off the shelf, look at it, and things like that. I don't know if that's going to work or not, but it looks promising. All right? So that brings something, a place where the teachers can take their whole class, say, look at the books, borrow a book, read it in this class. Okay? We have 2 or 3 times a week, so that's only one class in the year, but it gets them in there, looking at the stuff. Okay? What we need to do is incorporate more books. We suddenly have the chance to have all these tests. When we get the time out of no. We need to build or rebuild or maintain our teacher teams. Okay? That's a big important block. The teacher teams have always helped us a great deal. We need to reevaluate the number of points and deadlines. Tom talked about that. But put simply, for the lower levels, for things like that, we maybe need to think again about how many books people need to read. It's got a 2-year program. We're finding the students are going a lot faster than originally thought they were going to be doing. We need to educate the students more in the reading habit, bring the ER into class more, offer students a wider range of approaches to getting points. What Tom's program is a starting point. It's not the be-all and end-all. You can't just say to teachers and students, read this, do the test, that's the end. It's got to be more than that. As I said, excuse me, it's just a tool. So, I think the whole thing is it's a perspective problem. The administration saw the ugly woman, and oh my God, there's so much. We changed it to a beautiful woman. You've got to do the same thing for your teachers and for your students. Okay, I sort of pushed it a bit, but are there any questions anyone would like to ask? Yes?
I heard that the Japanese university students, college students, study only one hour a week, and they don't read even in their native language. If you get those students who don't want to read even in their native language, how do you motivate them to read in their second language?
Well, it's part of the course. They've got to do it. It is a big problem. We always have students just like that Takuma guy you saw, I think, with Tom's presentation with the 0. Yeah, we do get that every year. In the first year, by not reading, you can see in Amanda's presentation, their mark goes down. But if they have high enough in everything else, they're not going to fail. In the second year, the reading is 30%. So if they get 0 in the reading, there's a very good chance they are going to fail. So we talk to the students personally, we leave it up to the teacher, but in those teacher meetings where all teachers, everyone's talking about different students and so on, and they often, from 2 different teachers or even 3 different teachers, they'll try and push. But we're never going to get over that problem. Yeah. Anybody else? Yes?
Who orders and pays for the books?
Aha, the library pays, we order.
So you don't have to use Marizen if you don't want to?
Well, the library has to use Marizen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you could negotiate that you will do it all for them, and then park the books in the library, and they will take care of everything after that.
We have done things like that in the past.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we found, for example, for the Oxford and so on, some publishers are very fast. And if we've got a big enough order, Tom has actually contacted the publisher first and said, this order's coming. And the library has got a lot faster about things. But I think the problem is volume, and it's not so much getting the books into the library. It's the library staff processing them and getting them on the shelves. That takes the time. Yeah. That's a bigger time value, I think. But the ones we ordered this year are all regular publisher books. Yeah, so Cambridge, Oxford, Penguin, they're readily available in Japan. But if we start out ordering, George R.R. Martin, something like that from the States, we're looking at a longer time frame.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if they'd be willing to take that large an order plonk. And we would have to pay it up ourselves, and you probably would get paid back for months. Okay, well, I'll leave it there. As I said, Amanda's going to be